Extra chromosome, extra, extra. Read all about it. Welcome to the Upside Downs. I'm currently narrating this with Betsy herself in my lap, just to give you a heads up. So if you hear some baby noises, you're welcome. I've been writing here for a little over a year, and I have gotten quite a few new subscribers lately. So I thought I'd do an introductory piece for you guys. Betsy agrees. There's a lot in my archives you could go and read and get caught up, but geez, that'll take a while. I mean, still go and do it if you want. That'd be awesome, but I'll make it easier on you. My name is Kristen Malcolm, and I'm a singer, writer, wife, and mom, among many other titles. My main purpose here on Substack, at least on this particular column, is writing about Betsy, my youngest daughter, who has Down syndrome. My husband Ian and I are committed to raising Betsy as naturally, organically, and non-medically as possible, which is tricky because Down syndrome kids are prone to a lot of health problems. Anyway, a little about me. I am 42 years old. I love music, mostly rock, but a little of almost everything, nerd culture, and good literature. I'm an INFP, Aries, and a cat person. I grew up as a preacher's kid, which explains a lot about me. All PKs are at least one of three things: really good, really bad, or really weird. I've been all three at one point or another, and I've pretty much settled on really weird. As a PK, I've lived in 6 different states, eventually parking it here in Georgia, where my parents are as well. They live about a mile away. I'm married to Ian Malcolm, who writes the producer. Links to his stuff in the text, where I also write fairly frequently. Ian and I were brought together by a mutual love of music, in this case karaoke, and pizza. The karaoke was going on at a pizza place. Yep, we met because of karaoke at a pizza place, and we are now the karaoke DJs that host the weekly show at that restaurant where we met. Ian and I got married in April 2022, on the day I turned 40. We each have a teenager from our previous marriages, his son Eric, who's 17, and my daughter Miranda, who's 15. And of course, the whole reason I'm writing, we have a daughter together, Betsy, who's getting way too close to turning 2. My purposes in this life, at least that I'm aware of so far, include my daughters, music, and healing work. I practice Reiki. I also love writing, whether it be songs or my little contributions here on Substack. And who knows, maybe I'll write a book someday. Ian has produced 6 songs for me so far, with several more in the pipeline and lots more of his own, including a few about Betsy. Filament is a song he wrote about her when she was 2 months old, and Crybaby is one we wrote a few months ago when she was sick for the first time ever, and I was super overwhelmed by it. You can read the story behind Filament and the story behind Crybaby with the links provided in the text. And just for kicks, here's the lyric video for Crybaby, which is available on my YouTube channel, which includes a little bit of my music and a lot of Betsy. I post videos there almost daily, so subscribing there is one of the best ways to keep up with our little gal. Shameless self-promotion accomplished, now on to Betsy.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, dear. She was born in October of 2022. We knew from OB visits that she was most likely going to have Down syndrome, and what kept coming up on ultrasounds was a heart defect and a bowel connection issue, both common to Down syndrome kids. She was born via cesarean simply because she was facing the wrong direction and the doctor couldn't get her turned properly. Personally, I don't think that was a good enough reason. Her face was badly bruised from the ordeal and it was pitiful. I was going to include a photo, but I just couldn't do it. Looking at those photos now just hurts. At the time, it simply was what it was and we just dealt with it, but now just, wow. Anyway, she had surgery at 2 days old to correct her duodenal atresia, which is that bowel defect, and they also installed a G-tube to help with feeding and medications. The photo included here was 11 days after her surgery. Recovering like a boss, her face had mostly healed up, and I think by then they were already letting me try breastfeeding. She ended up spending roughly 3 weeks in the NICU before we got to bring her home. Betsy's heart defect was to be addressed next at almost 7 months old. In fact, I first started writing here on Substack a few days before her scheduled surgery, and you can read that in the link provided. Her procedure went really well, and she recovered beautifully, getting sent home after 6 days. We did have some complications, leading to us having to give her only skimmed breast milk. That's a long story, but we rolled with it. Since then, Betsy is even more active than she already was. This girl has always loved to move. She was soon taken off all her medications, and she got to have her G-tube removed from her stomach since we were no longer needing it. Jeez, I hated that thing. Apparently she hated it too. She got it taken out just before her first birthday. As of now, she's no longer having to see her gastroenterologist at all unless the need arises, and she's currently going 9 months between cardiology appointments. At the next visit, if she's doing as well as she should be, we will move on to just annual checkups. As for Betsy herself, she is magical, also loud. There is something beyond just special about this girl. She is instantly loved by almost everyone who meets her. She's a spunky little fighter with a side-eye game that is no joke. Her giggles and smiles are absolutely heart-melting. She gives the best hugs and snuggles. She loves music and likes to make her own. She loves music and it always makes her groove. She even has favorite songs. Betsy may not sit up all on her own yet or crawl, but she's working on it. Despite low muscle tone, she is flexible and strong. She keeps growing and learning, and she makes me so proud. I really had no idea what to expect in raising a kid with Down syndrome. In some ways, it is harder than a typical kid, but in others, it's actually a bit easier. For instance, it's not always easy to tell what's wrong when something is bothering her since she doesn't say actual words. But on the other hand, she's not crawling or walking, so I'm not having to chase her down constantly yet. That day will come for sure. But seriously, that extra chromosome of hers does add a lot of extra to our lives, and we are all so much better for it. If you find joy in reading and hearing about our little girl, how about hitting the little heart button at the bottom to show some love and maybe subscribe to my little Substack. And if you want to upgrade that subscription to paid, you'll have my sincerest gratitude. Just for fun, I'm including a video here at the bottom of Betsy bouncing like crazy with her dad. Thank you for reading.